She was shaking when she opened the front gate for me. My daughter, her hair uneven, her face red from crying. She couldn't even speak properly. I bent down and held her shoulders. Asterisk, who did this? I asked softly. Asterisk, she looked away. Then, whispered Miss Karen, the principal. That was all I needed to hear. Just 20 minutes earlier, I had been inside the state building, finishing a long, dry cabinet meeting. But the call from my daughter's school changed everything. Sir, there's been an incident. They said it like she spilled juice on a desk. No one told me a grown woman with a god complex had taken scissors and cut my child's hair in the name of fun. Asterisk, I drove straight to the school. No security, no convoy. Just a father. Asterisk, when I walked into the office, Karen was standing like she owned the place, smiling, holding the same scissors. Her voice loud, her tone proud. Asterisk, she needed a little discipline, she said. Her hair was distracting others. And today was silly hair day anyway. Asterisk, I stared at her. She didn't even ask who I was. She assumed, was just another immigrant. Father from the neighborhood? Asterisk, what gives you the right? I asked. Asterisk. She raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? I am the principal here. If you don't like how I run my school, you're welcome to leave. That's when she called security. That's when she shouted, loud enough for the other staff to hear. He's being aggressive. I feel threatened. The irony was so thick, I could barely breathe. The security guard stepped forward, hand on his belt. I raised my hands calmly. Asterisk, I said nothing. Simply pulled out my phone. And made one call. Asterisk, not to the school board. Not to the PTA. To the Home Secretary. 5 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled into the school parking lot. Armed security stepped out first. And then, finally, a man in a suit entered the office and looked around. Asterisk, he nodded to me, then looked at Karen. Asterisk, ma'am, he said. Do you have any idea who you just put your hands on? Asterisk, she blinked. What? I didn't touch him. I just gave his child a haircut. It's not a crime. Asterisk. The man didn't respond. He simply pointed at me. Asterisk. This is the chief minister of this state. Asterisk. Karen's face went pale. She dropped the scissors. Asterisk. And for the first time, she shut up. Viral line. She cut my daughter's hair for fun. But now, she's the one getting a permanent cut from her job. Asterisk. Rear Sakaran's voice trembled now. I didn't know. Didn't mean anything by it. It was just hair. Asterisk. I stepped forward slowly. My eyes never left hers. Asterisk. My daughter. Cried the whole way home, I said quietly. You took scissors to a child's head without permission. That's assault. And you think saying it was just hair makes it go away. Asterisk. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The staff behind her had gone completely silent. The receptionist looked away. Even the security guard who'd tried to step in earlier had backed off. Asterisk, suddenly Curran turned desperate to take back control. Wait, no, this is all a misunderstanding. I followed school policy. The handbook says we can make small grooming corrections if students are distracting others. Asterisk, I pulled out the handbook from my daughter's backpack, flipped it open. Page 14. Read it out loud. Asterisk. No faculty member shall alter, cut, or remove any part of a student's body, attire, or personal appearance without written parental consent. Asterisk. I looked up. Is that the same handbook you're quoting? Asterisk. She stuttered. Well, that was put there before I became principal. I run things differently. Asterisk. I smiled. But it wasn't a kind smile. Asterisk. You don't run anything anymore. Asterisk, right? Then my phone rang again. It was the education secretary. He had seen the footage. A teacher assistant had secretly filmed the whole thing, Karen mocking my daughter's accent, laughing as she held her down to trim her bangs. Another teacher in the background telling her, maybe you should ask the parents. And Karen snapping, these people don't care. Look at them. They let their kids run wild anyway. I turned on the speaker. The secretary's voice was sharp. Asterisk. We're issuing a formal suspension effective immediately. We'll begin a full investigation, and sir, we're so sorry. Asterisk Karen gasped. Wait, no, that video's taken out of context. I was joking, I didn't mean it that way. Asterisk, I took a deep breath, looked around at the other staff, now whispering, behind her back, and then I dropped the second bomb. Oh, and one more thing. Asterisk, I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a folded paper, placed it on the front desk. Asterisk, everyone leaned forward. Kieran squinted at it. Asterisk, it was the property. Title to the entire school building. Asterisk, her jaw dropped. What is this? Asterisk, I said calmly. This school building sits on leased land. That land belongs to the state. It was purchased during the education reform, under my direct signature. Asterisk, I stepped closer. That means technically I own the very floor you're standing on. Her face crumbled. Viral line. Asterisk, she humiliated my daughter on school grounds. Not knowing I own the ground. Asterisk, Karen's legs wobbled as she reached for a chair to steady herself. She was no longer shouting, no longer smirking, just breathing hard, blinking fast, like she was trying to wake up from a nightmare. Asterisk, but this wasn't a nightmare, asterisk. I turned to the staff, especially the younger teachers who looked horrified. Anyone else involved in this? You better speak now, 'cause after today, every inch of this school will be under audit. Asterisk silence. Then finally, one teacher raised her hand, eyes glassy. Asterisk I warned her, she said shakily. Told her to wait for the parents, but she laughed, said they won't do anything. These types never complain to anyone important. Asterisk, Karen's eyes shot wide. You liar, you just want my job. Asterisk, another teacher stepped forward. Then another. One by one, they began speaking up about how Karen regularly punished students for speaking other languages, how she'd held kids back unfairly, how she'd even torn down cultural decorations last month, calling them distracting clutter. Asterisk suddenly. It wasn't just about my daughter. Asterisk, Karen had been running her little empire unchecked for years, bullying families, manipulating policies, and acting like she owned not just the school, but the kids inside it. Asterisk, I turned to her again. So you've been targeting immigrant children for fun? Cutting their hair, silencing their voices, mocking their cultures? Tell me something. I stepped even closer, my voice lower now. Is it fun now? Asterisk, she didn't answer, just stared. Down, lips tight. Asterisk, that's when the officer arrived. A real one this time. Not school security, this was a uniformed state trooper from the governor's own task force. He walked in holding a folder and stopped beside me. Asterisk, sir? He said to me with a respectful nod. We've reviewed the footage and testimonies. We're placing Principal Karen Langley under arrest for child endangerment, assault on a minor, and cultural discrimination under the Education Equity Act. Asterisk, he turned to her. Turn around, ma'am. Asterisk, Karen panicked. No, you can't arrest me. I was just enforcing discipline. This is political. This is revenge. Asterisk, I watched her flail as the cuffs went on. She looked around for anyone to defend her, but no one moved. Not even her assistant. Asterisk, and as they walked her out the front doors of her own school, I looked down at my daughter, who was now holding my hand tighter than ever. Asterisk, she looked up at me and whispered, Will she come back? Asterisk, I knelt and said, No, sweetie, she's gone for good. Viral line, she called it discipline. I call it disgrace. The media was already waiting outside. Asterisk, somehow news had spread within minutes. Dozens of reporters swarmed the school gates. Cameras flashed.
8.
Microphones pointed. Asterisk, they weren't just here because of a principal's arrest. They were here because someone powerful had finally done something. Asterisk, one reporter shouted, Sir, is it true your daughter was assaulted? Asterisk, another yelled, Did the principal know who you were before she acted? Asterisk, I didn't answer right away. I just walked my daughter to the car, opened the door gently, and helped her in. Then I turned to face them. Asterisk. She didn't know who I was, I said calmly. But that's not the point. She shouldn't have needed to. A hush fell over the crowd. This wasn't about politics, a woman thought. She could violate a child's dignity and get away with it because she assumed no one would fight back. Asterisk. I paused. Let it sink in. Asterisk. She didn't know I was the chief minister. But even if I'd been a plumber, or a cab driver, or a janitor, this would still be wrong. Porter scribbled like crazy. Then came a sharp voice. Not a journalist, someone familiar. A woman in a formal blazer, walking briskly across the parking lot. It was the school board president. She came straight to me and whispered, "Sir, we had no idea. Karen. Kept a lot hidden." Asterisk. I nodded. That's your job now, to unhide it. She pulled out a sealed envelope and handed it to me. We're issuing a permanent ban on Karen Langley from any educational institution statewide. And we'd like to offer your daughter a private counseling program on us. No cameras, no publicity, just healing. I accepted the envelope without a word. Behind me, my daughter was watching from the window. She gave me a small, shy smile. For the first time all day, she looked like herself again. But the day wasn't over, because just when I was about to step into the car, someone called out, "Asterisk, sir, there's something else." Asterisk. It was the teacher who'd spoken up earlier. She came running over with her phone. Asterisk. I just checked the school's internal portal. Karen sent a mass email before she was arrested. She's trying to spin the story. She says you threatened her. She even attached edited footage. Asterisk. I felt the fire rise again. Asterisk. Karen was in custody. But she wasn't done playing games. Asterisk. She wanted to frame me as the aggressor, to make it look like a powerful man used his position to crush an innocent school employee. Asterisk. I looked at the teacher. Forward it to my office. Asterisk. She nodded. Already done. And sir, thank you for standing up. We were all afraid of her. Asterisk. I gave a tight smile. Not anymore, because if Karen wanted to play dirty, I had one more card to play. The uncut security footage is about to go viral. Asterisk. Viral. Line. Asterisk. She tried to cut my daughter's hair. Now I'm cutting off her lies piece by piece. Asterisk. That night. The video dropped. Not the edited clip Karen had pushed in her desperate email. The real footage. Asterisk. 2 full minutes. Clear audio. The teacher's phone secretly recording everything from the moment Karen yanked the scissors from her drawer to the way she mocked my daughter's long black hair. Asterisk. She looks like a little witch with all this mess. Snip, snip, sweetheart. You'll thank me later. Asterisk. Laughter from a few aides in the background. My daughter's soft cries. One teacher quietly protesting, "Shouldn't we get permission before Karen snapped? Do I need permission too? Fix a distraction?" Asterisk. By morning. Duh. The clip had over 12 million views. The backlash was instant. News anchors called it shocking. Parents across the country shared their own horror stories. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag hands off our kids. Hashtag fire Karen forever. Hashtag hair is not discipline outside the school. Protesters gathered. Some held signs that read, "Karen cut more than hair, she cut trust." And then something unexpected happened. Families from the school, immigrant families, single parents, grandparents started coming forward. Asterisk. One mother said Karen had forced her son to sit in the hallway for speaking Spanish. Asterisk. A father said Karen punished his daughter for wearing a hijab on picture day. Asterisk. Each story worse than the last. Asterisk. It was no longer just about a haircut. It was about years of silent abuse, swept under the rug. Asterisk. I was watching the news in my office when my assistant walked in. "Sir," she said carefully, "there's a visitor outside. You should see this." I stepped out onto the balcony of the State Building, and what I saw made my throat tighten. Asterisk. Hundreds of families were standing in the courtyard, peaceful, united, children holding handmade signs that said things like, "Thank you, Minister Dad, and you spoke for us." Asterisk. I couldn't hold the emotion back. Not this time, because I didn't fight back as a politician. I fought back as a father. Asterisk. And now, other fathers, other mothers, felt seen. Inside my pocket, my phone buzzed. It was a message from the legal team. Asterisk Karen's lawyer reached out. She's trying to settle. Once the charge is dropped if she resigns quietly. I stared at the screen. A clean exit. It's not a chance, I replied with one line. Asterisk, she doesn't get to vanish quietly after what she did. Because some lessons need to be loud. Viral line. Asterisk, she tried to erase the damage quietly. But the whole world was already watching. The legal hearing was set for Friday morning. Karen arrived in a gray blazer, trying to look smaller than usual. Hair tied back, no makeup. No fake smile, but the courtroom wasn't buying it. Especially not the judge, who happened to be the daughter of immigrants herself. Asterisk Karen's lawyer started weak. Your Honor, my client is remorseful. Acted out of concern for the learning. Environment? Asterisk the judge raised a brow. Was mocking a child's culture also part of that concern? Silence. Then the video was played. The full, uncut footage. Asterisk Karen stared at the screen like it was someone else on it. But the courtroom saw exactly who she was. Every cruel joke, every snip of those scissors, every entitled word. The room was dead quiet when it ended. Then the prosecutor stood and said, Your Honor, this is not just an assault on a child. This was a pattern of abuse, backed by prejudice, power, and cowardice. Asterisk Karen finally spoke up, voice cracking. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I was under stress, I thought. I thought she was one of those. She stopped herself, but it was too late. Asterisk the judge leaned forward. One of those what, Ms. Langley? Asterisk Karen froze, then looked down. Guilty. When the gavel hit the block, it hit harder than any sentence could. Asterisk 3 years probation. A lifetime ban from all academic institutions. Community service at immigrant aid centers. It's a permanent record of child endangerment. Asterisk as she was escorted out. Karen looked toward me desperate, like maybe I'd step in. I didn't move, because this wasn't about revenge. This was about making sure she never held power over any child again. Outside, reporters swarmed me again. Asterisk one asked, Was this justice for your daughter? Asterisk, I paused, looked at the camera. Asterisk, no, I said. This was justice for everyone's daughter. Asterisk the next day, I returned to the school not as chief minister, but as a father. Asterisk my daughter walked beside me with her backpack and a fresh haircut not forced, not cut by anyone else, but chosen by her. Asterisk she smiled when the new principal, a kind older woman with silver hair and gentle eyes, greeted her at the gate. Asterisk ready for a fresh start.
Ashia.
Asterisk my daughter nodded. Yes, and no scissors. This time, right? Asterisk the principal laughed. Only safety ones. And only if you ask. She walked inside, confident, free, and for the first time, school didn't feel like a place of silence. It felt like home. Viral line. Asterisk she took away my daughter's voice, so I gave it back louder than ever. The weeks that followed changed everything. Asterisk the school board launched a full audit, not just of that school, but of every institution Karen had worked at before. But they found shocked even them. Asterisk complaints buried, reports accidentally deleted, parents gaslighted into silence. Asterisk Karen wasn't just a bad principal, she was a system abuser. And she had friends who helped her stay in power. Asterisk but now, they were all being named. Asterisk one of them, a senior board member, resigned quietly the next week. Another tried to claim no knowledge, but leaked emails proved otherwise. Asterisk. The walls weren't just closing in on Karen, they were collapsing on the entire fake structure she had built. Asterisk meanwhile, I signed a new bill into law. Asterisk the student. Protection Act, asterisk, it gave parents more oversight. Cameras in classrooms, transparent complaint tracking, and most importantly, strict punishment for faculty abuse disguised as discipline. Asterisk, I didn't plan to make policy from pain. But sometimes, Pain is the only language broken systems understand. Asterisk, everywhere I went, parents stopped me. Not to talk politics, but to say thank you. Asterisk, one father hugged me and said my kid was scared to go to school. Now he says, if something happens, Minister Dad will fix it. But what touched me most was a letter, written in colored, penciled with misspelled words, and a hand-drawn picture. It was from my daughter. It read, Dear Baba, I'm happy now. Thank you for making the scary lady go away. I like my hair, like my school. You are my hero, love. Nita asterisk. I kept that letter on my desk. Still do, asterisk, because all the speeches, cameras, and applause, they fade. Asterisk, but that letter, that's forever. Asterisk, Karen tried to cut her voice. Now her words live louder than ever. Asterisk viral. Line. Asterisk, she tried to erase my child's confidence. And my child writes her story in permanent ink. It rained on the day of the final school assembly, but no one left. Asterisk parents stood under umbrellas. Kids in ponchos sat cross-legged. Whole schoolyard was filled teachers, families, community leaders, all there for one reason. Asterisk, a girl in a yellow dress stepped up to the mic. My daughter, Nita. She adjusted the mic nervously, looked at me once. I nodded. Then, with a voice steadier than anyone expected, she began, Hi. I'm Nita. You know what happened to me? Some of you were scared it might happen to your kids too, but I'm not scared anymore. Because my dad told me that even small voices matter when you speak the truth. Asterisk, the crowd went silent. Not even the rain could interrupt. Asterisk, my hair is mine. My name is mine. My story is mine. No one gets to change me without my yes. And if anyone ever tries, hope they know that even if I'm small, I'm not alone. Applause broke out first, slow, then roaring. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just the end of a fight. It was the beginning of a ripple. Other schools started adopting the same policies. Principals held parent meetings. Old cases were reopened. And Karen. She tried to apply for a job in another state, but was flagged and rejected before she could even interview. Asterisk, her face had become a warning. Her story, a case study. Asterisk, and ours. A message that dignity doesn't need titles. That truth, when spoken at the right time, with the right heart, echoes longer than hate ever could. Asterisk, at home that evening, Nita curled beside me with her school. Trophy. Asterisk, do you think she still thinks about me? She asked. Asterisk, I smiled. I hope so. Asterisk, she frowned. Why? Asterisk, because maybe then she'll learn what respect really looks like. Asterisk, Nita grinned. Like this? Asterisk, and she gave me the gentlest, proudest salute. The kind of salute no title could ever earn. Just love, just family, just justice. Asterisk, final viral. Line. Asterisk, she called it Silly Hair Day. But today, the whole nation remembers it as Respect Her Roots Day.